Welcome back. You're watching the Power Breakfast Show. In our first interview this morning, we want to discuss stories making headlines in the world of politics. And to help us steer that conversation, we have Honorable Mithika Linturi, Member of Parliament for Igembe South, and Honorable Daniel Manzo, Member of Parliament for Makueni County. Now, any questions you might be having, 22422 is the SMS line, or you can get us on Twitter. The hashtag is Power Breakfast. We'd love to hear from you, so get communicating. For now, I hand you over to Mutegi.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Now, I think we should start with the most topical of the subjects, and which is the Judiciary and the Supreme Court. What is happening in the Judiciary? You as a lawyer, maybe you can set the ball rolling.
Yeah.
What is happening with the Judiciary and particularly the Supreme Court?
Yes, you remember Justice Tunoi. There were allegations against him, and vast mentioning, in matters of corruption to generally the Supreme Court. And you know what has happened to Justice Tunoi? The Judicial Service Commission said that there is now a prima facie case, or a case on the face of it, from the little investigations they have done, that there is a probability that Justice Tunoi may have been compromised in relation to a matter of the election of Nairobi County, particularly the Governor Kidero. Therefore, a tribunal has been proposed to be set up by the President. If that's going to be the case, and he's going to be found guilty, because the same affidavit talks of others being mentioned, and the moment you are mentioned, the Supreme Court and judicial generally should be like Caesar's wife, beyond reproach. And nobody should ever imagine approaching the judiciary, or even there being a meeting between a litigant and one of the judges. And therefore, I think the best thing they can do actually is to resign, all of them, so that we can have a new team, and that the country could have confidence in the Supreme Court, and that if they do that, at least Kenyans will have confidence.
Do you think that can happen in terms of Kenyan politics? Do you think?
What's happening?
Do you think the Supreme Court can resign?
What is impossible in Kenya? Mutegi. One thing I would think I would only differ with my colleague, Mheshimiwa Manzo, is this aspect of having everybody else to resign in that event because of just allegations. Let it be known that even if money exchanged hands, criminal responsibility is individual. I don't think all the judges took the money if there was any money to be given. But people can always speculate, people ask questions because people have objective minds. And one of the things that, though that matter will be looked into further details by the proposed tribunal, is really, if at all money was to exchange hands, whether Tunoi would have taken the money and influenced the outcome of that case without a conspiracy with the others. Because for one to have his day at the Supreme Court, at least you must have 4 judges agreeing with you, because it's a majority ruling that is expected. So we will not want to really delve so much on the merits of that case, as Mheshimiwa was saying, just saying that the committee that was formed to look into the allegations has been able to has been convinced that there is a case on the face of it. Then we only ask that if a tribunal is formed, because it has to, then I would pray or ask Justice Tunoi to insist that this matter is prosecuted in public. It is his name that is on the line. It is the judiciary, the whole entire judiciary, that is on the cross, and for purposes of Kenyans gaining more confidence with our judicial system, then Kenyans must be in a position to be able to see to hear what the accusers
is there a possibility
saying.
that it can be heard in camera? Is there a possibility of that?
Yeah, those are options. Those are options. So we also bring the media to give it the necessary publicity that is required. Because if we do not do this, remember, with the new constitution, our fight was to build institutions so that we get out of this situation of where 1, 2, 3, 4 people wield so much power and influence. And for that matter, we must be able to build the institution of the judiciary so that the embedded that is aggrieved by anything within this country at least is confident enough when I go to any court within this country, I will get the legal redress, and I am sure when I appear before them, the law will apply equally. So that is in the meantime what I would really be asking, because in the absence of that, then our system is seriously under trial.
What do you think about the Judicial Service Commission itself? You have people who are just members of that commission, who are judges,
yes,
who are magistrates,
yes,
who after hearing that way, they come back to the court to listen to the same matter.
Yes, you know, after the tribunal, which is set by the president, then you appeal. If Justice Tuno he feels aggrieved, then he appeals to the same Supreme Court. So you know you cannot be a judge of your own cause, and you know also everyone is presumed innocent till proven guilty. But you know the problem with corruption is if there is adverse mentioning, if you are mentioned adversely in itself, it creates cracks, you know, on the integrity of judiciary. And therefore, you know, the very honorable thing, you know, for the best interest of the country, really, if there is adverse mentioning, and you see that's why the judge has to choose whether this matter be heard in a camera or in public view. And I think public view is best, as proposed by Mheshimiwa here, so that everybody sees the truth, knows the truth, and interrogates. And therefore, then we'll be able to know that exactly what happened, and we want to stop this in the future so that other judges don't get compromised on such serious matters, because an election is a very serious matter. The moment it goes away, it should never have gone. And you know the problem is, if the Kedero case is true, that somebody was compromised, and at least 4 judges have been going together, even in the previous election petition of Accord versus Jubilee, it means the same happened. And in fact there were allegations that time. It's only that nobody was bold enough to swear an affidavit, and the matters were very serious. So it is very dangerous to imagine that we even have a president and a deputy president who should not be, because a court was compromised. It's a very serious matter.
Mutagi, before even asked, to really emphasize what Mheshimiwa is saying, and this is why I'm saying that regardless of the outcome, then our judicial system will either regain its confidence, Kenyans will gain confidence, or it will completely be lost. And loss of confidence will be a disaster for for this country. And this is why I am saying it will where we are getting into, the people that will be listening into this matter will have a seriously to balance the interests of the country, the judiciary as an institution, vis-a-vis those rights of to know either as an accused person, his right to a fair trial as a judge of the Supreme Court, and in so doing, it is only necessary that we assume Justice Tunoi is innocent up to now, because I believe in the principle that use asserts must prove. And I have said before that you can never rule out a lot of machinations with whatever is happening. Mheshimiwa is referring us to the last general election. You never know whether it is called now that he thinks now that since this Supreme Court is just there and we are almost getting to another election, we must seriously look or get away of trying to do a serious attack on the same judiciary. You never know. There could also be the Jubilee government that says now at least these people, didn't do whatever it is and we are done with them. So the best thing, because judges have a security of tenure, and there is no way we can easily get them other than making somebody make allegations or file a complaint, and then a tribunal is formed, and being that the only option that is available, then you never know whether they are the same people that will be beheaded. But even when people are making these things, I think it is important to be patriotic enough and to forget individual interests or interests of funny characters, to understand this country is bigger than anyone else. And when there is that indictment of a senior judge in this country, it portends very badly on the whole institution of the judicial and our legal system.
But it looks to me as if, and it has been written in articles in the newspapers, that the vetting of judges may not have been foolproof. That considering that what is happening now, in fact, there have been the cases have been quoted where Justice Tunoi in the past was involved in some shady things. One with Justice Shah and Kwaj, and the other one about the ruling about the terms of the retirement age for judges. So, what is your view about the vetting?
But no, you must also say, if you are also to be fair and to be seen, to be bringing out all the issues clearly, you must also say that SK Macharia is alleged to have an issue with Injustice Tunoi. So it's also important to put him there, the owner of the Citizen TV.
I'm not so aware about that. Maybe it is the case. It doesn't matter. You are just enhancing my argument.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think, first of all, there has been a very serious effort to clean out judiciary, and we have seen the Chief Justice Mutunga making some effort from the magistrates level to the High Court level. The vetting has been continuous. And you know, when you are doing vetting, it is very, very important for Kenyans who have information to appear and to give that information in affidavits, sworn, so that also if you cheat, you also get into legal trouble, with the law. Therefore, you know, the vetting has been done. I think we need to look at things. And again, also matters advance. The moment there is a new issue, like now the issue of Tunoi, then it has to be handled afresh, whether somebody has been vetted before or not. You can see that justice in Kenya has been very porous, in that somebody has sieved through, and we are not comfortable with it. And that's why we now need to get the people of Kenya to believe in judiciary, to know that something has been done, to know that there has been, you know, some surgery has been done, and whatever is dirty has been cleaned up. Because public confidence is of utmost importance. Everybody who goes to court, I'm likely to go to court in future, either on a presidential election petition, or even on a parliamentary or county, you know, election. And then, I'm not sure of the judges. So everybody is looking for a judge on the side to bribe them. I think it's very unfair, and the judges should not allow it at all.
But Tunoi is not the only one. There is another Mutava who is having issues.
Yes.
So why would we want, as Kenyans, want to have trust in those kind of judges?
Since their matters are pending, I think it is good we presume them innocent till the day they will be pronounced guilty. And if they are pronounced guilty, there are very serious consequences which will follow. I think it is a very dishonorable way for somebody with a long career like Justice Tunoi to end it up the way it has ended it. And you know, Kenyans will learn from that in future, if you get compromised, then this what happens, this is the way.
But there is this argument that we have corruption in the executive. We have seen it with the National Service. There is corruption in your own parliament. Why wouldn't the judiciary be clean?
You know, corruption is the biggest cancer in this country, and it begins with the people of Kenya. It begins with the election itself. How do you elect your leaders? You know, the electorate themselves want to be bribed so that they elect a corrupt person, and once they elect a corrupt person, then sets up the executive. Once you set up the executive, then you have, you know, corruption in ministries, because everything is shortcut. So we need to do soul searching as a country. What do we really want as a country? and therefore it must begin with the wananchi themselves. During elections, there should be no voter bribery, voter buying, voter treatment, voter compromise. Everything should be above board.
With the by-election coming on.
Let me explain this, Muteki. Yes. Because I think some things are just overemphasized. And we forget this a young, evolving democracy. And some of the challenges that we find ourselves in as a country are not new. They are over. And the moment we appreciate our position in terms of development, that is when how we can focus for the future. For example, I want to tackle this idea of corruption and bribery. If we have to be honest with ourselves, we must be so clear in our minds, and it must be understood that there can never be corruption, there can never be bribery without the involvement of two parties. So even in this to know it better, the person that is giving money, up to now, we don't know him. Right? They are just, even that, I think what I have read, the allegations are saying was given, doesn't state who did the money. And because people may think that it's Kindero that did it, Kindero has said clearly, I never did it. So, what am I saying? I am saying even those Kenyans there, because people in big offices, state officers, it's like when you get to any public office, you become an enemy of the people, and everybody else is running after you. So if we must come up with a principle, with regulations, that if you serve in or if you make an allegation, you must be able to substantiate that. And if you don't, then you must be willing to carry the cross. Remember, I am saying that the other day, let me explain. The other day, there is a proposal that came that if you go saying somebody has stolen money, and then there is 10% that will be given back the person that who makes those who are under allegations. So, I am saying... Why are you calling one world? Yeah? Why are you saying one? I have said the world because let me prove my case. Ink has not just even drained from the paper that was read in Parliament by none other than the President himself. With 172 people in this country, what happened? We have less than 20 people that have been taken to court out of a list of 172. What happened out of those people that made those allegations, either in the EACC or wherever else, is assassinate the characters, those people that had nothing to do with the issues of corruption. Even when the EACC itself has been doing its own investigations, we commend them for having found that at least 20 or 40 or 50 people are culpable. But a list of over 120 people is also pending. Remember, some of those people may have lost their jobs. The credibility, the integrity of those people, after the kind of publicity that they got within the world, right? The images, the integrity is indented.
What are you making?
The point I am making here is we must be honest with each other. We must be conversant of the fact that Mheshimiwa Manson, being a member of parliament, there are those people that want a seat or that are never happy with him for whatever reason, and they will be permanently looking for reasons to bring him down. So they will be making all round of allegations, and when they do that, other than jump into condemning him, then the best thing is to listen into the substance of that particular matter, expeditiously deal with that issue, so that within the shortest time possible, the matter is resolved. So it doesn't continue gunning in town with the loads of issues at the end.
There are institutions that are supposed to be doing those things. Are you saying that when allegations are made, there are no systems of checking?
If there are proper systems of trying to establish, and this is what I was saying, we will not have 172 names.
Where did they come from?
I shouldn't be told.
They came from the Ethics and the Anti-Corruption Commission, which gave this list to the President.
So how many out of the 172?
And the President took them to Parliament.
How many out of 172 are culpable? And those that are not...
Who cleared them? The ones you say are guilty, who cleared them?
I think you may not be able to get what my rationale of the argument I'm bringing. I am saying when you make allegations and 172 people are put in the list, and you have only evidence to prosecute 20, then you must be willing to carry the burden of the 150 whose cases you cannot be able to prove or prosecute.
So who are you blaming for that list?
Those people that made the allegations to EACC, those people that in the EACC that decided to put the people in the list without substantiating the allegations.
But they know the course to take. If they are defamed, they know where to go.
Let me tell you.
Those 152, they know where to go.
You know how many cases I've had in this country? Yeah? Issues of defamation which have never been dealt with? Since 2008, I've had 8. None has ever been concluded. You want to tell me anybody that is progressive would want to permanently live within the corridors of justice? It is also not so cheap to hire a lawyer to continually push your matter within the courts. That's where I'm saying, and so that will also reduce burden within our court system. We must have those institutions doing their business as required by law, and then they must also be ready to and willing to submit and to be equal to the law.
What is your view about that? I totally disagree with what he's saying.
Yes, I think as a country, since there are structures and we can see they are progressing, like now a tribunal has to be set up. The tribunal will investigate the judge. If he really wants to go through the tribunal, because he knows the truth also, if he wants to clear his name, he can go through the tribunal. If he wants to ease the country's burden, he can, step aside. And I also still insist, if that is what has been happening, and there is enough evidence, or even the advancedly mentioned, tarnishing the image of the judiciary, I think the Supreme Court for now has to do the honorable thing, which is to resign en masse, all of them. Then we have a new Supreme Court, because Supreme Court is the temple of justice, which is very, very important, because that's where matters touchy the rights of individuals, serious constitutional breaches, and serious matters are handled. And for us to have that confidence, they have to resign.
The senior lawyer, in fact, who have appeared in this program, who say that corruption is rampant in the judiciary, not even the Supreme Court.
Yes, and that's why we have the vetting board, which is...
the vetting that was done for only judges that were employed before the Constitution, was the new Constitution. The ones appointed now, they can do anything after. Those appointed after.
Mutagi, let me tell you, let me bring this dimension of why we should be more cautious and worry of whatever is happening in this country. Remember, the Constitution of Kenya under Article 1 says that sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya, and that sovereign power is only exercised, can only be exercised by those people themselves, or through their elected representatives, or through other institutions whose power has been delegated to them by this Constitution. What am I saying? I am saying I have seen a scheme of events that is worrying, to the extent that the executive has been indicted by the people of corruption, and the admission by His Excellency the President himself that his government is corrupt is a very serious matter. Number two, there is an admission by Parliament that Parliament is corrupt. What remained was the judiciary, and now the judiciary is now on the spot on matters of corruption. What are we telling the country? We are telling the country that these institutions cannot be trusted in running your own affairs. We are telling the country you cannot trust the executive, your Parliament, and the judiciary. So now, because you can't, what it means is now, because we have no confidence with them, is to get to the streets, right? And exercise your sovereign power by yourselves. So it's almost telling that Kenya must, asking Kenyans to revolt against the systems that have been created by law and the Constitution, which is wrong. And this is why I'm saying we must be asking ourselves, who is this person that is organizing all these things? Because I've never seen this thing happen again. And that's why I'm saying we must be more cautious, because if we are not, we've been getting into a trap that has been set up by people and whose interests that we do not know.
So you are saying the president shouldn't have seen there's corruption?
No, but you know, this is. I am trying to show you the implications of some of the things. If there is corruption, the own government cannot be corrupt. I am saying that corruption is criminal. Corruption, and for there to be corruption, there must be two people. So since criminal activity or criminal responsibility as individual, then you must be in a position to deal with those individuals and don't do a blanket condemnation of the whole parliament, of the whole judiciary, and of the whole executive. That's what I'm saying.
But when people are taken to court or to the EAC of corruption, particularly politicians, they go with their followers to the court, to the ethics and anti-corruption offices, saying, our man, our leader, you are targeting us. Isn't it up to a politician to do?
Actually, they go with their tribe.
Yeah, with their tribe, yes.
They go with their kinsmen to go and defend. And I think, as he says, corruption is individual, crime is individual. We really need to single out those people who have been alleged to have done something, and then they need to go through a proper trial, proper system, so that the moment justice must be seen to be done. So the matter of Justice Tunoi, if he insists, should go all the way. And then if there is an indictment, then of course it means he's going to be out of the judiciary, and it means others should follow who will be mentioned in the process. Because you can see this affidavit is saying others have been sorted out. And you know, if you don't have quorum at the Supreme Court, then the Supreme Court has no business being there. The way it is looking like it's going to lose quorum if we are going to lose Justice Tunoi, and the Chief Justice has also offered to retire in June.
Some comments here. Honorable Nturi has a point. Some whistleblowers are being used to bring others down. Then he went to ask Honorable Manzo and Honorable Nturi, what is your take on the magistrate who rescued herself from the Tokyo, or who excused herself from the Tokyo case on the basis of DPP's office? This is Catherine from Eldoret, and I think she was discussing a case that the DPP pressurized. The magistrate said the DPP has wrote a letter to claiming that she was going to favor the accused. Don't know whether you can talk about that.
You know, in the court, what happens if a judge or a magistrate feels that they have some interest in a matter, they declare it, and you know, they can decline to handle a matter if there is a personal relationship or friendship, or if there is something which makes the judge or magistrate uncomfortable prosecuting that matter or presiding over it. So it's, you know, magistrates are allowed, if they feel there is something which may make them not do justice, not to handle that particular matter, to excuse themselves, to decline, and then another magistrate, because there are many, or a judge can take up the matter. So it's allowed. The moment a judge does soul searching and realizes they have an interest, there's conflict of interest, there's an issue which may whereby justice may not be adjudicated, then they can step aside on a matter. They can leave a matter to be handled by other magistrates.
So that's the normal practice. That's the normal practice in our judicial system. But in this case, it is the DPP that made a complaint, right? And the DPP being the prosecutor, being the prosecutor, I think by way of writing or saying, I am not confident that this particular magistrate, there will be injustice. One is that the DPP cast aspersions on the integrity of that particular magistrate. And now this is not a matter where the magistrate in her own volition found that either out of whatever relationships, then she couldn't have compromised herself by listening to that case, but because of being prompted by the office of the DPP. To me, this magistrate did a wonderful job, because as we are saying, justice or our courts or the magistrate people presiding over these cases must be like Caesar's wives. So if there is any litigant or any other interested party in a matter, and then that particular party feels that by appearing before this judge or that magistrate, there will not be fairness, there will not be justice, there is nothing else that is honorable that a presiding judge or magistrate can do other than excuse herself or withdraw herself from that matter, so that at least anybody else can take it up, and so that at least there can be that fairness. So for that matter, I really commend her on that. All other magistrates or judges to really emulate her for interest of justice and for fairness.
Another crucial thing that is appearing now is the registration of voters.
Yes.
There is a hue and cry that 500 million shillings given to the Electoral Commission to register voters this month is a joke. It's not enough. There are some people even who are saying that Jubilee wants to rig the next elections because of that and other reasons. Or there's some other people who think that the Electoral Commission itself should be disbanded.
Yes, I'm affected by that matter because in Makueni, you know, the wards are so big. And you know, each ward is to have 2 BVR kits. While we know very well that during the election itself, there will be a BVR kit in every police station. It is very important that we do voter registration at every police station. Because like yesterday I was in Masonga Lane ward, and you cannot even move and cover the whole ward, you know, in a day. So how are 2 BVR kits going to be used? And again, if you use these BVR kits, only 2 of them, a voter will register with them. The day they go to vote, they are going to vote in a particular police station. They will find their name is missing. It will be a mirror of some sort. You have to go another 100 kilometers to your next posted poll area. And you know that will create
when you are registering, aren't you asked where you will vote? Even if you register here, you will be asked, will you vote here or another place?
Yes, the tragedy is the day you go to vote there, and you registered a different place because of the BVR kit, if your name was never posted, because these are electronic equipments, and it can cause confusion. So what we are insisting is Parliament must allocate sufficient money for this exercise, and it better be postponed if they are not ready, other than do a bad job and mess up the country. We better have enough BVR kits, and people better be registered at their respective police stations. That's the only way you will have effective voter registration. Otherwise, if it's done the way it's been done, it's going to raise a lot of questions, and the people, and it's the same corruption we are talking about of institutions. So we must all strive to do the right thing for the Republic and for the interests of the people of Kenya.
Your view? My view, Mutegi, is that Kenyans are really very corrupt when it comes to that time of elections. And if we really do not want to create a corrupt government, then Kenyans must change their attitude, must be responsible enough, and also stop those corrupt practices. And if they are not able to, then we must be allowed to show them how that can really stop. I am saying this because, you know, the kind of noise that is now being meant is like to prepare the country that we are getting into an election whereby the voters' roll will not either be authentic, or there will be in doubt on it, and that will be preparing the country either for violence or for a lot of questions. I am suggesting this, Mutegi, that even in the last parliament, because I was privileged to serve there, and recognizing the business of blackmail that exists between the candidates and the voters, was saying that since people Kenyans are the ones that choose their government, Kenyans must take it as their own responsibility to participate in that democratic process of voting leaders. So that if you make a mistake, or the leadership makes a mistake, then you are all equally to blame for choosing the wrong leaders. So that there is no room for people saying, we went to vote because we were given money, we were being transported, and for any other reason. And what I had said the last time, and I took even this amendment to the floor of the House, and the current then Gedu never trying to agree with my reasoning. I understand that if that is the principle that should run this country, then we must make voting compulsory in this country, so that if you do not go to vote and you are a registered voter, voting is must 18. If you are a voter, if you are 18 years with an ID, you must be a voter. So other than even now, business of registering people, we say that the only thing that can vote is the ID card. right? And then indicate where we want to vote, and then make it compulsory. And if you don't go to vote, then we make it criminal, right? So that you have nowhere else to blame. So that other than sit at a corner on during a polling day to wait for Manso to come and give you 100 shillings to go and vote, you know you have a duty to go and vote. And if you don't vote, then the next day, or when the election results out, then you must go to the nearest court within that area to answer to that judge and pay a fine of 2,000 shillings. You collect revenue for government, and then business of trying to beg everybody to go and vote, you forget it.
I don't know whether that will happen. Anyway, but what do you think about the registration itself? There are people who are claiming that areas that are opposition, or areas that don't support Jubilee, they are not getting IDs, and therefore they are not being registered. Is that claim tenable?
Yes, it is, and in fact...
but the electoral convention is not Jubilee, it's impending.
Yeah, but they are connected in a way, because you see the person who gives the IDs, you know, without an identity card you cannot register as a voter. And I can assure you there are very many applicants of identity cards in Makueni who have never received the identity cards over a long time and over many months.
The registrar person has said there are 400,000 cards not collected.
We have, yes, we have announced actually, and the people now are collecting the cards from the chiefs, but we have over 1 million applications still pending with the registrar of persons, and in fact that registrar of person now is alleged to be serving illegally. The same corruption we are talking about is there is a government regulation that the moment you are 60 you should retire. So then why do you have some special people still serving in offices while you are beyond 60?
Are you saying it's inefficient because it's beyond 60?
No. You could be there for a purpose of making sure some voters don't get the IDs. And in Mukambani we have a serious problem. In fact, the registration office at Wote, when I have complained, and I was planning to visit that office to make that complaint, so that when they go to get voters' cards, they don't get harassed, they are not asked for money, because they are being asked for money to receive your ID, and that's why you have so many IDs in chiefs in those offices. And I think if we have to fight corruption really, as a country, we have to get very serious. It has to be at all levels. It will not just be with the judiciary. It is actually in every aspect, and that's the only way. People should not die to lead the nation when you know you are not leading honestly, when you know that you are elected but not fairly, that the election is compromised through IDs and through voter registration. It should be clear. It's one thing as a country we must get right from the beginning. Let's give every Kenyan a fair chance.
Mutagi, and give live examples. I want to disagree with Mheshimiwa Manzo and tell him, let him look at the statistics, the numbers that have been listed by the IMBC. The areas that people have registered in very big numbers are the country areas. The perceived Jubilee areas, people have not registered. Why people are not registering in the Jubilee areas, that is the issue that I also want answered. Because don't forget, you know, this the civil service says as people inclined to whatever political leadership that we want to support. And I am saying I want to give you an example. Personally, in where I come from, and to sit down in November, and sit down with all my chiefs, with those IND country officers, and told them the office of the registrar told me that we have no money, we can't move, and to give my own money, to mobilize and give my own vehicle, to ask them to go around the schools or the areas, the locations, trying to give people INDs. I am spending my own money when government has a vote, right? To go and register people, so that maybe in another 2, 3 or 4 months, then they are able to get IDs and register as voters. Number 2, I didn't have an ID card. I applied for an ID card in October to get my ID card. And anybody that wants to know, even if the registrar, the senior most person in NSSF is listening. When you see engineer Franklin Medical Intor, you must know this shouldn't be the member of parliament for Igembe South. You can see his photo. His ID card has not been delivered 3 months down after application. So that should tell you.
Why are you applying for it? You got the first one got lost or what?
Yes, it got lost. So and I want a replacement.
Yes,
a replacement. And that is what I am telling you. I did 3 months ago. To date, it has not been developed. So it is not the truth to say that in Jubilee, on Jubilee areas, I'm being favored. Because I am a member of, I don't like saying I'm a member of Jubilee government because I'm not part of the executive, but I'm saying I support Jubilee, right? Because I'm a Jubilee member of Parliament. So it is not true to tell the country that there is any favor being extended to Jubilee areas. And if we are in fact, we have even organized a protest meeting with our regional bosses because we are feeling our area is getting marginalized, and it's like they do not want us to mobilize people to register as voters, and hence the denial of indicans. So it is not true.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are running out of time. We will go for a short commercial break before now we do the other interview.